for stupid stunts. From Gordon Ramsay causing trouble in a bathroom to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson robbing a store. And today I'm investigating all of this. My one goal, to decide which celebrity has the dumbest arrest. Let's start with Justin Bieber, whose multiple arrests almost ruined his career. His first arrest happened at 19 years old, when after partying at multiple nightclubs, Bieber was pulled over in a yellow Lamborghini for driving twice the legal speed limit. It turned out that Bieber and his friend had blocked off an entire street to race their supercars. Now, street racing is a serious crime, but you have to understand that when a cop pulls you over, they're also looking to see if they can catch you in more crimes. So in Justin's case, police smelled alcohol on his breath or saw that his pupils were dilated, which would give them probable cause to arrest him for driving under the influence. What's even crazier is that a few years later, Bieber was arrested again, but this time it was for throwing eggs at a neighbor's house. I have the court order for this crime, and it shows that Bieber had to pay $80,000 in damages and served 2 years probation while completing anger management classes and community service. Now that's a pretty stupid way to get arrested. Up next is actor Reese Witherspoon, famous for her role in Legally Blonde. Reese and her husband were driving home one night when police saw that the couple's car wasn't staying in its lane. They pulled the car over and ran a field sobriety test on her husband who was driving. Most people don't realize this, but field sobriety tests are voluntary. Unfortunately, her husband likely didn't know this because he took it, failed, and then was arrested. Meanwhile, dashcam footage caught Reese becoming noticeably upset.
I told him, I'm an American citizen. I told you to get that car staying there, didn't I?
I guess Reese didn't know that the Supreme Court has ruled that police officers can order drivers and passengers to get in and out of their car. Ultimately, Reese Witherspoon was arrested. Drivers and passengers didn't know that the Supreme Court has ruled that police officers can order drivers and passengers to get in and out of their car. Ultimately, Reese Witherspoon was arrested for disturbing the peace and pled guilty. The next celebrity was Gordon Ramsay, who was arrested for one of the weirdest reasons ever. When Gordon Ramsay was 27 years old, he and two friends were heading home after a night of drinking when police were called about a disturbance in a public bathroom. According to a spokesperson, one friend was messing around with the sink. The other friend was running around the bathroom like a crazy person, and Gordon Ramsay was at a urinal with his head slumped on the wall. Sounds to me like drunken shenanigans, which explains why the police let them go shortly after taking them to the station. And that brings me to Winona Ryder, who almost never got her role in Stranger Things because of a stupid stunt. The incident was caught on security cameras inside a Los Angeles clothing store, where Winona was spotted removing tags from almost $5,000 worth of clothing and hair products. So the police arrested her for grand theft. It's $5,000 worth of clothing and hair products. So the police arrested her for grand theft. You have to understand there's two levels of theft. The first is called petty theft, which is when you steal less than $950 worth of property, and the punishment is usually a fine. If you steal more than that, it's grand theft, and the punishment is usually a lot worse. In Winona's case, she was sentenced to 3 years probation, 480 hours of community service, $3,700 in fines in order to attend counseling. That's
I thought she had like 10K in fans.
crazy. All that for a new fit? While Winona was arrested for stealing clothes, this next celebrity was arrested for not having any. This is Matthew McConaughey, an actor you know from a ton of films. But one morning, around 3 a.m., a neighbor of McConaughey's called cops complaining of loud music coming from the actor's home. According to the police report, an officer looked in the window on arrival and saw McConaughey dancing around naked and playing bongo drums, while another man clapped. McConaughey was also accused of resisting arrest when he pushed the arresting officer.
Wait, what the hell?
Loud music coming from the actor's 3 a.m. A neighbor of McConaughey's called cops complaining of loud music coming from the actor's home. According to the police report, an officer looked in the window on arrival and saw McConaughey dancing around naked and playing bongo drums, while another man clapped. McConaughey was also accused of resisting.
Bro, what the hell y'all got going on?
Arrest when he pushed the arresting officer. He spent the night in jail before being released on a $1,000 bond. Later, he reflected on the incident and seemed pretty relaxed about the whole thing, telling Playboy, "What's wrong with beating on your drums in your birthday suit?" And speaking of criminal behavior, I recently found out I was being charged every month for 6 subscription service. Rocket Money is what? Before you Rocket Money safely and securely cancel on the internet to your, so I don't lose track of my spending in the future. I'm also using it to track my finance using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.celebrity whose stupid stunt had her go viral. The stars from the Vampire Diaries made headlines when they were arrested for apparently flashing drivers from a bridge. This was happening around the time of the premiere, so fans became obsessed with the story, and it was widely discussed all over social media. However, a writer from the Vampire Diaries came out and revealed that the entire thing was a huge misunderstanding. The girls had just gotten their hair and makeup done and thought it'd be fun to take some pics together on the bridge. It turns out that when drivers called the police to report flashing from the bridge, the police got the word confused with the type of flashing that involves no clothes. The stars from the Vampire Diaries were still arrested for disorderly conduct because they were hanging dangerously from the bridge. Up next is Nicki Minaj, one of the world's most popular musicians. In a now deleted Instagram post, she wrote about how she was arrested for possession of a weapon with intent to use, and that she did intend to use it. You should know that it's always a bad idea to admit to any crimes on social media, because in Nicki's case, if she lied to cops back then, it's possible the post could be used against her now. This may be one of the reasons she took it down. She later sent her mugshot to Jay-Z and Beyonce to use in their On the Run 2 tour. But now we have to talk about the star from the Transformers movie. This is Shia LaBeouf, and recently, the actor was drinking late into the night when he noticed a pimple on his forehead. He went to a nearby pharmacy to buy pimple cream, which amused the store's security guard. Embarrassed, LaBeouf left the store, changed clothes to disguise his appearance, and then returned. This time he knocked over a candy stand while trying to buy some gummy bears. Then, and this is crazy, he leaves the store a second time, changes clothes again, and then returns to buy cigarettes. But this time, the security guard puts him in handcuffs and calls the police. LaBeouf was charged with criminal trespassing, but the store and the security company later dropped the charges. But next up, we have a celebrity who was arrested
How would he get hit with criminal trespassing? Did y'all tell him to stop coming?
for freeing lobsters from a fish tank. This is Edward Furlong. When he was 28 years old, police were called to a grocery store because customers complained that a man was arguing with the store's management. Furlong had made his way into the seafood section, climbed into the fish tanks, and tried to release lobsters. When the police tried to frisk Furlong, he apparently started spinning in circles. Furlong was taken into custody on a misdemeanor charge of public intoxication, but only spent 1 hour in jail. But while Furlong was lucky to get bailed out, this next actor wasn't so lucky. Actor Jussie Smollett was walking down the street in Chicago when he was attacked by two unknown men in what looked like a hate crime. In the police report, Jussie states that the attackers poured an unknown chemical substance on him and tried to put a noose around his neck. However, he was able to fight them off, but the police didn't believe him. Surveillance cameras at the scene hadn't captured any altercation, and an NBC news anchor near the street said she hadn't heard any sort of commotion. Turns out, Jussie set the whole thing up. The mystery assailants had previously worked as extras on Jussie's show, Empire, and were paid $3,500 by the actor to fake the attack. Jussie had hoped to capture the security footage and release it online to increase his popularity. But I'm guessing this wasn't the type of fame he was hoping for, because his stunt got him sentenced to 150 days in jail. But that seems minor when compared to this next celebrity, because she was arrested for beating a cashier with beauty products. This is Foxy Brown, a popular musician who was using beauty products in a store's bathroom when an employee told her she had to leave because they were closing. The police report states that Foxy refused to leave and an argument broke out that turned physical. Foxy started throwing beauty products at the employee and spat on the employee's shirt as he called 911. When she left the store, she was confronted by police and things took a turn for the worse. She tried to swat the police officers out of the way and was so out of control that the police had to use a takedown maneuver to get her into handcuffs. Foxy was charged with battery and resisting arrest and spent the night in a Florida jail. She was sentenced to 1 year in prison. However, even in there, she got in a fight with another prisoner and had to spend 76 days in solitary confinement. Now that's one dumb stunt, but it's not the dumbest, because we still have to talk about Conor McGregor, Bug Hall, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. UFC fighter Conor McGregor has a long history of offenses, from driving violations to armed robbery. But by far the athlete's strangest controversy was when he and a group of men were filmed attacking a bus. McGregor turned himself into the police a short time later and was charged with 3 counts of assault, which could have landed him up to a year in jail or even lost him his travel visa, making it almost impossible for him to travel to his fights. In the end, McGregor simply had to pay for the damages to the bus, served 5 days of community service, and agreed to take an anger management course. Imagine being the person sent to teach Conor McGregor anger management. Next up is Bug Hall, a popular child actor from the 90s. Police were called to the scene after receiving reports of a man acting suspiciously behind a dumpster. While there, the police caught Bug Hall trying to inhale the contents of an air duster. You know, those spray cans used to clean keyboards? When the police went back to the actor's hotel room, they found more air duster cans all over the ground, which Bug Hall admitted to inhaling. As well as being super dangerous, Bug Hall's actions are actually illegal in many U.S. states. He was charged with misdemeanor possession and was released on a $1,500 bail the next day. But now we have to talk about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. In an interview, The Rock admitted that as a teenager, he was arrested 8 to 9 times. Everything from fighting to shoplifting to even forging checks. One of his craziest stories was about how one of his arrests involved theft and a foot chase in a Hawaii mall. But this story has a happier ending than most. While attending a new high school, he snuck into the teacher's bathroom but was caught by the school's football coach. The next day, The Rock apologized to the coach. They shook hands, and the coach asked The Rock to play football for him, which helped turn his life around. That's one amazing coach. A few career changes later, and The Rock is one of the biggest wrestlers and movie stars in the world, with an estimated net worth of over $800 million. Not bad for someone who used to steal from fancy clothing stores. These were some pretty stupid stunts, but Reese Witherspoon telling police she can't be told what to do on American ground